Hey everybody, back with another video, and today we're going to be doing a little update on Intel because the news just came out this morning that they're going to be cutting their quarterly dividend by 66%. Wanted to take a look at this because from a few months up to about a year and a half ago, people have asked me about Intel as just a general pick and as a dividend pick in particular. And I did warn people that there were a lot of problems with the company, the way it's being run, the products it's putting out there, its dividend, pretty much everything. I did warn against this, and this is kind of just a confirmation of what happened. It did take longer than I thought. I thought they'd be cutting this dividend a little bit earlier, among other things, but it did eventually happen. So let's take a look at it and see what happened. As we can see here today, Wednesday, February 22nd, they did announce they'll be cutting their quarterly dividend by 66%. Down from 36.5 cents to 12.5 cents. Quite the dividend cut. One thing that I would like to note is that when companies make dividend cuts of this size, it's much easier and better, I would say, to just cut the dividend completely. The reason they don't is so that they can stay on like certain ETFs and funds that are invested in them. They're still technically a dividend stock, so that they are likely to be included in ETFs and other funds that focus on dividends. That's probably the biggest reason here. I really don't think that they're trying to give their shareholders anything by saying, well, we're keeping 33% of the dividend. That there's no confidence to instill in shareholders when you do something like that, regardless of what the reasons are. But let's take a look at their dividend and see how it's been doing. We can see here that back in 2003 it was 2 cents until it was cut completely down to 0, and it did not come back until 2013 at 22 cents. This was after the Great Recession, after everything had finally calmed down. They finally had a dividend back out there, and from 2013 up until 2022 they had been raising their dividend anywhere from about 1.5, 1.75 up to about 2.5 cents just about every year until this big drop off. Now that tells me that they thought that they would have been able to keep this going since, these problems did not start in the last, 12, 24 months. Intel has been losing market share. They've been putting out, to be quite honest, really bad processors for the last, it's getting close to 10 years at this point. AMD makes better processors. Other smaller companies are starting up and have been doing so over the last few years, and they're really eating into that market share. Intel is still the big dog, but they're definitely losing that market share to a bunch of other companies, primarily AMD. Now, looking back at the actual news, we can see that a lot of the news that's around this is that this is the right move, that management is really starting to figure out what's going on, and this is a step in the right direction. Sort of, but not really. Just cutting the dividend does nothing. Intel still has not released anything that tells me, hey, we have this new technology, we have these new chips, we have these new things that are going to make us more competitive in the space. They haven't done that. We heard about the giant, manufacturing plant that's going to happen in the Midwest. That is the definition of just, noise. It's not going to do anything, okay? They're going to produce more chips. They're going to produce more chips that aren't as good as their competitors' chips. That does not scream to me that they're going to be doing better. A lot of stuff you're also going to hear is about the overall industry demand for PCs deteriorating. This is not true. This is fake news. The demand for PCs is still ridiculously high. The thing is that the demand for PCs that spiked during the lockdowns because everyone needed a computer to work is starting to go away. That doesn't mean that the demand for PCs is going down. It means they're returning to a normal level. We are still going to see people need more computers because the world is moving in that direction. So again, don't worry about these things. They don't matter. This isn't going to affect their competitors, what they're trying to do. The market isn't changing in the way they're saying. This is purely because of Intel putting out bad products. The company is just doing poorly. They're making poor decisions. Their R&D is terrible. Just don't take this as a sign of the industry. For example, AMD, although they have been making some interestingly not as great choices over the last few months, is still doing very well. NVIDIA is finally coming back down to earth. Their ridiculous valuations have finally come back down closer to a place where it's supposed to be. They are having some issues, not as much as Intel here. But actually looking at Intel's issues, we can check. If we go to the cash flow statement, we can see that their free cash flow over the last 5 years has been very up and down. 5 years ago losing money, then a nice build up into a huge drop off back down, almost jumping 33% and then dropping about 60%. And then if we look at the quarterly cash flow, we can see it gets even more bizarre as it's just up and down $1 billion, up $1 billion, down $6 billion, down $6 billion, up $2 billion. Their cash flow is all over the place supporting this dividend. They're probably going to be able to support this dividend in the near future. I don't see them, anything crazy along those lines happening. I could see them cutting it even further into the future. That's perfectly possible. But this 12.5 cents, they should be able to support that without much difficulty. But with the cash flow going like this, until I see some nice normalization in the cash flow, this is a very interesting dividend, to say the least. I would not be looking at this if I was looking at blue chip dividend stocks. And if we take a look at the actual stock price, just let's look back over the last 3 years. It's been cratering. It had that big jump up to the 60s that a lot of people in the Discord were a part of. Good for you, you made your money. If you are still holding this, you are the definition of a bag holder. If you bought in the 50s or 60s, you really have two choices here. You can get out now because this will be going lower. I would almost bet on it. I'm tempted to short this down to, $15, $16, $17. Or you just hold on, take that tiny dividend, and hope that they're able to, recoup the business, make some new exciting things in their industry, get some, some smaller chips out there, some more powerful chips out there, try to compete with the competition that they have, because pound for pound, their biggest competitor, AMD, is a better product than they are. And when that happens, there's a serious problem. If you're charging more for an inferior product, your business, it can't last for that long. Name recognition only goes so far. Long-term contracts will eventually run out, things like that. And when you have noise like your big production facility, that's going to die down eventually, and people are going to realize there are problems with the company. So if you're looking at Intel right now, I'd stay away from it. There are better technology dividends out there. There are better blue chip dividends out there. Just keep your eyes open. I'm probably gonna follow this for the foreseeable future until I see them actually make some kind of turnaround or just peter out into nothing. So as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.